this video. So I absolutely love watching these thrift flip videos, and I have so many of my own thrifted clothes that I thought I just had to do one. I'm going to try to do about 5. I thought maybe this could inspire you guys to do some things with your own old clothes. So let's get into it. Up first is this purple tank top. I quickly threaded a needle and started hand stitching the right arm ruffle to the bottom of the armhole, and that gave this really nice off the shoulder effect. I then just laid that out on my table, folding in half, making sure it's flat, and then cutting off about 2 inches because this was a pretty long shirt. Then I just straight stitched with my sewing machine all the way around the bottom to hem it. Up next are these 2 t-shirts. Starting off with the gray one, I'm once again folding it in half and cutting off the bottom. Next, I started dismantling this red t-shirt. I had to snip some thread that was holding a weird knot in the back, cut down the sides, removed the sleeves, and started to work on cutting out a general rectangle shape, cutting down the middle of that, and then laying all of those pieces on top of each other to make one long strip of fabric. I then grabbed my needle and thread and started to hand gather that. Next, I got my dress form Cecilia out and put the gray t-shirt on upside down so that I could gather the ruffles on right side up. Carefully removing that, you can see how the ruffles will lay, but I had to remove the pins and stitch that onto the shirt. Next, I wanted to add a little something extra, so I quickly drew out a general pocket shape, sliced open a leftover sleeve, pinned that pattern down, cut it out, removed the pins, and hemmed all the sides of the pocket. Here's how that looked. And then I just directly sewed it onto the shirt. Lastly, I just straight stitched all the way around the ruffle to hem the bottom, and there was so much fabric I even had to rethread my bobbin. But after I was done with that, it was just a little bit more, and then I was done. For the third thrift flip, we have this pair of sweatpants that I'm just going to cut into shorts and roll up the bottoms. But with the rest of the leg material, I'm going to cut 10 centimeter wide pieces. That together will make 50 centimeter long strips. I'm making 2 groups of those to make 2 scrunchies. Then I laid those separate pieces on top of each other just like I did with the ruffle to secure them together. Then I sewed that into a circle and folded it in half, as well as folding in the edges. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here so that there isn't a raw edge. Then sewing down those folds. I'm also leaving about a 1-inch gap to thread my elastic through. You can see the tube here. Then I'm grabbing my elastic, measuring 10 centimeters, cutting where that is, adding a safety pin, and putting that through the tube. Tying it off, cutting the excess, and then all that's left to do is close this opening. Just have to do the second one and we're done. For the fourth thrift flip, we have this Los Angeles sweatshirt that I am once again cropping, and then we are going to go to the sewing machine, and just like we did with the scrunchie, after folding it inside out, we're going to sew about a 1/2-inch channel for elastic. We're basically just making the bottom of the sweatshirt into a scrunchie for our waist, leaving a gap at the side just like I did with the scrunchie. And if you don't have elastic, you could also cut a strip of the material that you cut off the bottom into a drawstring, so that's pretty cool. But I needed to measure my waist, and then after doing that, I cut the proper amount of elastic. Tried to roll that out, but it fell on my floor. And once I did that, I once again attached the safety pin and threaded that through the channel I had created on the bottom of my sweatshirt. Once I was to the other side, I tied that off and then tried it on just to make sure that it fit. I didn't want it to be too tight or too loose, but it worked out really well, so I double knotted that and chopped off the ends, then just finished it with sewing closed that opening. Last but not least is this gray sweatshirt that I quickly chopped the sleeves off of. Then going over to my sewing machine, I folded it inside out and started sewing a general arch shape down the sides. Now, we're turning this into a pencil skirt, so I can't give you specific directions on how to do this. I would recommend just trying it on and pinning or making chalk marks of where you need to take it in to fit your body properly. This took me a couple times. I just had to keep sewing in certain areas and making sure to cut off the excess. Also, my neckline was pretty wide, so I only had to cut off a little bit, but if yours is smaller, then you might have to cut off a lot. Then, once I made that proportion properly, this is what the seams looked like. I quickly rethreaded my bobbin and hemmed the top with a zigzag stitch. My sweater was stretchy enough that I didn't have to add elastic. Here's how it turned out. Thank you so very much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe for more content like this. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Bye.